All right, Q&A time. Let me know if everyone can hear and see me. We are going to be chatting today specifically about. So I'm releasing a podcast tomorrow with Rachel and T. They're actually located in British Columbia or Vancouver, British Columbia. They have purchased 28 units in 2 years. They are also developers, so I'll be releasing that. That's hot. That YouTube video tomorrow. But today we're going to chat a little bit about, well, not a little bit, a lot about creative financing and other people's money, multifamily dwellings, and income producing assets. So again, live on all social media platforms here. So if you have any questions, definitely put them in the chat. So what they ended up, well, in general, so how were they able to scale a portfolio of 28 units in 2 doors? And if you're just tuning into me, I'll talk a little bit about Mel and myself. So Mel and I located in North Bay, Ontario, Canada. We are the proud founders of the Action Family Mentoring Program. We've now purchased over 264 units in 5 countries, right? Canada, US, Costa Rica, Mexico, and Dominican Republic. And I tell you this not to boast, not to flex, but to say that Mel and I are regular people. We are not rocket scientists, right? I was a firefighter. She worked at our local college. Once you have a proven system, you can definitely do this yourself, right? Rachel and T, whose YouTube video goes out tomorrow, they followed a system, they followed a process, and they purchased income producing assets. And again, these are people like you might be thinking, well, Dave, I'm too busy. I have a job. I have a partner, a spouse who also has a job or self-employed or T4, W2, 1099. Maybe I have kids. Maybe I have activities, right? This is doable. Mel and I, when we bought 12 properties in 12 months, we both had three jobs, right? So 6 jobs in total between the 2 of us, 3 kids, 2 dogs, and we're able to do it, right? So you are definitely able to do this. It does not need to be a full-time gig in the beginning. It can be a side hustle in the beginning, right? Until that's how we did it. It became a side hustle until it replaced the main thing. So thank you everyone who's joined on TikTok. Appreciate it. Do you guys have any questions? Do not be shy. Like I said, I'm live on all social media platforms. So the forms of creative financing that we love the most, I'll go through it, okay? So my favorite is seller financing. Now, seller financing can be broken into 2 different things, right? It can be when the seller is actually holding a mortgage. So that would be like in Canada, mostly known as vendor take back, right? VTB. In the US, it's mostly known as a carryback. Same thing, right? It's where the seller actually holds a mortgage for you, okay? And that can be first position mortgage, like a bank, right? Hello from Nigeria, hello from India. What's up, everyone? I love it. Thank you so much for saying hellos. TikTok, don't be shy. But yeah, so that is when, first place mortgage, just like a bank would do. So think about when you go into a bank, they give you a mortgage. The seller can actually hold a mortgage for you, just like the financial institution. And then a second place mortgage is more of like your down payment. So your downstroke. So if you're buying a property and you don't have the down payment, the seller, hey, Janessa DeFranco. Yes, Janessa, I know you joined the Action Family out in Montreal, out in Quebec there. No, were you Quebec? I know you're Quebec. Was it Montreal? Gosh, we spoke a couple months ago now. But what was I going to say? So yes, seller financing in the form of a mortgage, so vendor take back, VTB, okay? That is probably my favorite go-to. You can also have 100% financing as well this way. Not going to lie, that's not going to be as easy. Mel and I have done it 2-3 times now, right? 100% financing from the seller holding 100% of the mortgage, okay? Ooh, it's hot coffee. The other seller financing that I want to discuss is agreement for sale. Now I'll talk about Canada, I'll talk about the US and a couple of differences within that. So in Canada, agreement for sale, AFS, is when you do not actually own the property, okay? You do not actually take possession, well, you kind of take, well, you do take possession of it, you have control over the asset. You have a power of attorney on it, and you get to rent it out and make the decisions on it to a certain extent. But you don't actually own the property. And the beauty of this is you do not need to qualify for it, okay? If this is something that, because Mel and I have lists for these types of deals, if this is something that interests you, DM us the word deals, okay? And the team will send it to you. So DM us the word deals, and the team will send it to you. So whatever platform you're on, deals, and we'll send you the agreement for sale deals. Now, the beauty about this, because you're not qualifying for the debt, right? Because technically the seller's still holding the mortgage for you because they already have a mortgage on it, most likely. It also doesn't show up on your personal credit report, right? So even if you buy it in your personal name, my name's Dave Dupuis. So if Dave Dupuis buys, 123 Main Street as an agreement for sale, it does not show up. 90 does not show up on your personal credit. Okay. So it's a pretty cool way of doing it. So in these two scenarios, in both of these two scenarios, the seller is directly involved with helping finance the deal. Okay. Which is pretty cool. Like, why wouldn't you leverage the seller in getting financing? So Mel and I are currently holding 4 mortgages. Again, we practice what we preach. We like purchasing assets this way. We also like selling assets this way. And why would anyone do this? Why would Mel and I do this as well? It benefits us. It benefits the seller holding a mortgage because they get to defer their capital gains. They get to control their succession planning, meaning they can control when they get the funds, right, through the terms. And they can also make interest, right? Why does a bank lend out money? Because they make interest. So why would a seller hold a mortgage? Because they make interest, okay? So banks make a lot of money, right? They like having security on a property and making interest. Why not do the same thing as a seller? So those are the two. I'm going to kind of dive into some questions here. Anas from Toronto. I have a camp in a very cold area, and I suffer in the winter because a large amount of cold enters through the doors. What is the solution? So it sounds like it's almost like a 2-season camp or cottage. I would 4-season that. So probably paper thin walls. So I would definitely make it a 4-season. I would get a quote from some contractors and look at getting that 4-season. The other thing too is, okay, Anas, Russia, Virginia, people are tuning in from all over the place. That's why I love going live on social. Again, I'm located in North Bay, Ontario, Canada, right? Northern Ontario. And we have people from India, Nigeria, Virginia, Russia. Love it. Anas from Toronto. The other thing too that I would say is, okay, not just, hey, you don't want to be cold in the winter and you want to have an asset that you can use all 4 seasons. The other thing as well is, again, in my experience, financial institutions, some of them won't necessarily love or like to finance those type. But once you make it a 4-season, I believe, again, in my opinion, from doing this, you will have a lot more doors open for you for financing. So once it's 4 seasons, you can have year-round plumbing and you can heat it. And let's say because again, you always have to think like the bank. The bank is thinking, Anas, you have this property, and if for any reason we need to take it back and need to sell it, because the bank doesn't want to own things, right? The bank just wants to hold debt, right? They're thinking, how quickly can we liquidate this asset and get our money back? Well, when it's 4 seasons instead of 2, they're going to be able to do so a lot quicker. Some good questions here. How much money do I need to start? Danielle. Depends. Okay, are you buying in Toronto, Vancouver? Are you buying in Miami, San Francisco? Mel and I are going to Miami in a couple of weeks from now. I love it. And it's all thanks to the buildings and our what was I going to call it? Our revenue share at EXP. I just got the rev share this morning, actually. So if you're interested in becoming a real estate agent, you don't need to be to do what we do. Send me a word, agents, and I'll let you know for our action agents team. But so it all depends. Danielle, are you buying in somewhere in Alberta where there's no land transfer tax? Are you buying in downtown Toronto where there's 2? So all of that depends. Are you buying I was looking at a couple of deals this morning. Some of them are like $100,000 a door. There's some of them that might be like $700,000 a door. So I definitely recommend having some backup funds. What was I going to say? Team, I'm trying to think here what we want to, you know what, if anyone wants to possibly join our Action Family Mentoring Program, just DM us the word action and we can have a more in-depth conversation about the next steps and how much money you need and what that looks like. So if you're looking to take action and get coaching and training by Mel and I, DM us the word action. Hello from Russia, Virginia is awesome. Kirk, my question would be, go Toronto Maple Leafs go, as I have on my cup. Hopefully you guys don't disappoint me this year. I love you guys, but my heart can only be broken so many times. Okay, Kirk, my question would be underwriting as it pertains to what strategy in order to exit? Do you folks utilize midterm rentals as a strategy? We have. So, okay. Mel and I's portfolio, let's discuss this. Mel and I are in 5 countries: Canada, US, Costa Rica, Mexico, Dominican Republic. In Canada, we don't necessarily do short-term rentals. Actually, I shouldn't say that. We do have some short-term rentals. It's more of like for people that need a stepping stone place and they're, anyway. So it's kind of shorter term or more midterm. I've done midterm rentals as well. So for example, I've had traveling nurses. I've had people who are part of, what are they called? You know, during the summertime when the forest fires, forest firefighters. Oh my gosh. We've had some of those. We've had people from mining crews, drilling crews who have done midterm rentals. But honestly, the majority of our portfolio is, I love long-term multifamily rentals. Okay. So Canada, the US, that is the majority of our portfolio. That being said, we do have a property in Orlando, which is short-term rental. Now, the other 3 countries, Costa Rica, Mexico, Dominican Republic, it is short-term rentals that we do there. Okay. Thanks for the love, TikTok. Appreciate you guys over there. So Kirk, do you guys do that? Okay. Underwriting as it pertains. So I would definitely underwrite long-term rentals. And if you can make it work midterm and short-term, that's gravy. All right. What other questions did I have here? Oh, you guys might hear the dog bark. One of my little guy's friends is here. Oh no, it's the kids coming back home. Anyway, might get loud in here. We got 3 kids off on summer holidays, so they might get loud in here. Kirk, I'm talking about agreement for sale. Oh, okay, so let's reverse engineer what I was just saying to Kirk. So Kirk is saying, Kirk, you're part of the Action family, right? My question. Okay, so Kirk is talking about agree. I'll answer it generally here, and then I'll talk a little bit more in depth. So Kirk is saying for agreement for sales, which is basic. Yeah. Okay, Kirk, ask us in the Action Family Live. I'll be able to go a lot more in depth. I'll keep it kind of general here because we have people from all different levels of knowledge based on social. So Kirk, definitely ask within the Action Family, and I'll go, to the nth degree, and we'll talk about it. Okay. But I'll talk about in general, agreement for sale. So in Canada, AFS agreement for sales. If you're in the US, it's wrap. Awesome, Kirk. It's wrap mortgages, okay? Where again, the seller keeps ownership, the seller keeps the mortgage, the seller keeps the debt and title and everything, okay? And then you're basically wrapping around a contract and a power of attorney on it so that you can control the asset. And you give them a down payment. Now you can rent it and basically make the spread and gain on the appreciation and everything. That's AFS agreement for sale, and that's wrap mortgage in a quick nutshell. So Kirk is saying, in regards to those agreement for sales, what would be the underwriting as it pertains to in order to exit the deal? So I'll keep it high level here, and then Kirk, let's go more. Let's dive in a little bit further after. The exit strategy is ensuring that, again, the asset will be worth more by the time you go to sell it. So if you are doing, like you're saying here, mid to short-term rentals, the trick with short-term rentals is anyone can put a house up to list, right? And then you're going to be subject to comparables. So if you put a single family home up for listing to sell, the real estate agents are going to go, hey, and this is no secret, right? They're literally going to go, what were the comparable sales in the last 6 to 12 months? And how does your house compare? Is it a 3-bed, a 2-bed? How many garage spaces? Does it have a pool? Like, what does that look like compared to all the others? And then they do the, is it extrapolate? I forget the exact word, but they basically do that. And then they'll look, that's how the appraisers do it as well. They look at your finishings and see how high end or what type of neighborhood and finishings, and they use comps. Now, in regards to a short-term rental, you're still taking that single family home and excuse me, they're still doing the comparable approach as well to it, but now you're throwing an income approach to it. You're going, well, no, it's a little different. Same with student rentals, right? Because student rental, a house, it could just be a house as well, or an investor can look at it as, well, how much is it actually making? So with the short-term rental, if you want to be able to sell it more because you're actually bringing in income, you'll have to be able to show what it actually has done in the last 6 months, 12 months. And that's same with financing as well. So if you are looking at doing short-term rental, Kirk, and you're looking at increasing the value of that asset to exit the deal and sell it down the road, the best thing to do will be getting that track record of, or the trailing 12, the last 12 of showing what exactly you were able to rent it for, so that the next investor can go, hey, it's not just another place. I'm also buying the reviews that you have on the short-term rentals. I'm buying the work that you put into it and all that goodwill. So they're buying it over and above just being a house, right? What else do I see here? Where'd it go? Moninier, do you think investing in farming as a student is a better decision? Ooh. Team, make sure that we're looking at the TikTok questions as well, because I don't want to forget my friends over here on TikTok. So make sure that someone goes live and any questions that comes up on TikTok. I'm not always looking. I don't want to miss anyone. I don't want to seem like I'm ignorant or being mean, or anyway, I want to make sure that we're good all over. So honestly, farming is outside of my realm. I honestly don't know much about farmland and farming and all that. So respectfully, Moner Near, yeah, I wouldn't know. I'm not honest. Or I wouldn't know, to be honest, is what I'm not honest. I wouldn't know, to be honest. Just being honest with you. I like sticking in my lane, which is multifamily, residential, residential and commercial real estate, but farm, that's a whole other can of worms. So to continue on the conversation before we had some questions, and again, guys, do not be shy if you have questions, is the other form of creative financing that Mel and I like is using registered/retirement funds. Okay. And this is in Canada, this will be RRSPs, TFSAs, LIRAs, right? In the US, it's going to be Roth IRA and 401ks. Now, you can use your own. In my opinion, it's more of like a one and done. It's not a really scalable. It's like a principal residence, anyway, I don't really talk about that one because it's not the strategy that I really think is scalable and doing to buy a lot of units. The one I like discussing is using other people's, right? OPM, other people's money. So using other people's registered funds or retirement funds and putting it in the form of a mortgage. It has to be a mortgage, right? To purchase income producing assets. So you could either have it as a first place mortgage, like a financial institution, or you could have it as a second place mortgage, almost like a down payment. Again, there's definitely some federal regulations and stipulations. It all has to be done through the lawyers and the attorneys, and you need a what's the word? Not an agency, but like a third party. I can't think of the word. Not an agency, not a company. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think about it. I can't think of the word, but like a third party. Anyway, so it's a little bit more complicated, but it's definitely doable. Oh, it's going to bug me that I can't think of that name. But yeah, third party company or agency that will be able to help you guys as well. But yeah, the lawyers and the attorneys do all of that. So that's another form as well. Now, the other cool thing is, let's say you are in Canada and and I'll talk about US in a second. So if you are in Canada and you have RRSPs, right, or TFSA or LIRA, you have those registered funds, you can actually self-direct them, right, to purchase a property in the US or Costa Rica. Okay, so in Canada, it's more the one and done if you want to use your own. But if you want to use your own to purchase properties, right, we can show you how to do that. So let's say you're living in Canada and you're like, you know what? Wintertime, it's cold. I don't want to be here sometimes. Well, what if you buy an income producing asset in Florida? What if you buy a short-term rental in the Orlando area, right? Davenport or Winter Haven area, and you can escape there, right, when it's too cold, and you can rent it out the rest of the time. So you could do so utilizing your own RRSPs. Something else too, let's say if you're in the United States, let's say if you're a US citizen and you have your own 401k, you could look at utilizing those funds to, let's make it up, to buy somewhere in Costa Rica. Let's say you want to buy a short-term rental in Costa Rica, a casa or a villa or a condo. You can also utilize your own to do it in another country like that as well. So those are pretty cool things. Let me see, where are the questions? I'm an international student in Australia. Okay. And honestly, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know much about Australian real estate, not going to lie. If you're in Australia and you're looking at buying in the US or in Canada, then I can definitely help you. Just fill out the form. Anyway, this goes to anyone. Fill out the form. Basically, the word deals. Send us a DM with the word deals, DEALS, and then we can go from there. TAL Corporation, how to solve overthinking. So whenever Mel and I are overthinking, or whenever we're worried or scared or on the fence, having a hard time, whenever we are our own roadblock and hurdle, this is what we do. Now, let me preface this by saying, this is not going into things blind. This is not, being a cowboy and making sure that we haven't done our due diligence. So let me preface this by saying, if you have done your due diligence, you have dotted the I's, crossed the T's, you can ensure that everything that you can look at, you've looked at, and you're now comfortable with the deal. And what Mel and I end up doing is, we do all our due diligence. Like I just mentioned, we put it in our cash flow analysis matrix, which is the numbers, making sure that it makes sense on the way in and that you have an exit strategy to pay people back. So once I've done all of that, I know my numbers in and out. I know that I can get a lift. I know that I can pay investors back. Now there's just a few, excuse me, there's just a few, what's the word I want to use? Not miscellaneous, but there's a few items that I'm not 100% clear on. Like, I think I know what the renovation cost is going to be, but until I have the deal under contract, I'm not going to get the contractors to walk through in that. But I'm 99% of the way there. I'm like, this deal makes sense. There are going to be some variables, some unknowns that I will have to face as I go through. But I don't want to overthink it. So TAL Corporation, that's when I go, Mel and I would go, okay, well, we get to that point when we're comfortable. We've done as much as we can do, and we feel very comfortable with the deal still, but we know that there's still going to be some stuff that on the other side that, we can't know now until we, go through with this. We tell ourselves, once we're there, pull the trigger, right? So once we're at that point, put the deal under contract, or whatever action that we were going to do there. Or let's say we're down the road even further. Let's say that was putting the deal under contract. And now, like, okay, I got the deal under contract. Now I'm doing my due diligence. I'm looking at all, trailing 12 months of income and expenses and leases and XYZ. Now, and I've talked to financing and everything's good. So now I'm further along in the deal. And now I'm at the point again where I'm like, hey, it's time to make another decision. We've dotted the I's, crossed the T's. Okay. Now it's time to firm up on the deal, right? It's time to, I guess I'm trying to think of how people say it, firm up. It's time to remove all conditions. It's time to, what other sayings? Just because every country, every province, every state has different, firm up, remove conditions, go solid on the deal. I've heard people say it, but literally it's, hey, we're under contract now. There's no more, inspection period. We are now on a firm. There you go. Go firm. There you go. Firm up, solid, remove conditions, whatever you want to call it in different places. Everyone has a different saying. So that's also a different scenario where, like, hey, now this is official. I'm buying the deal, and now we're just waiting for closing. Either the lawyers to do their thing, the attorneys to do their thing, title to do their thing. So again, that's another part where people get scared, like, okay, it's gotten too real now. Once I sign off here that where this deal is firm, people get very scared at that point. And I understand. And again, you have to tell yourself, if you have done all the homework and you're now at that point, Again, will there be things on the other side that you don't know yet? Of course there will be. Are there things that you're like, oh, I should have thought of this, or oh, yes, or are there going to be situations that arise where I've had it where the day after I close a deal, I've had plumbing leaks, and I'm like, but again, no one could have predicted that. Uh, and it's not a reason not to close a deal, right? So that's the thing, is you will have some of those circumstances. So people that are paralysis analysis or like Tal Corporation that said are overthinking it, just know that there will be some of that on the other side. And that's just part of real estate, right? Think about this. Like, people get so scared of doing it in real estate. Think about life in general. When you start a new job, you think you know what it's going to be like, but it's always a little different after, right? It might be some colleagues that you like and don't like. It's not exactly the position you thought. Like anything in life, you moved to a new city, you thought you would like it. There were some things I didn't know that I wish I knew. When you chose your college or university, again, every decision that you make, you do the best. You do the best work possible to be able to, I think I've checked all my blinders. Now I just got to go ahead with it. And there's still going to be some stuff that you got to deal with. That's just real estate, and that's just life. Any idea about Siddharth? Any idea about Indian real estate? No, I do not have any experience with real estate in India. However, we have a lot of people from India who have joined our Action family. We have people in our Action family from all over the world. Like, I love diversification. I love immigration. Like, we have people inside of our Action family from Canada, US, right? We have people from Russia, Colombia, India, Australia, Venezuela, Philippines, Asia, like China. Like, anyway, I'm probably missing a bunch more, but that's what I love, is a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life with a lot of different experiences and knowledge. And that's what makes a family, right? Is if we were all the same exact person, that'd be boring, right? Who wants that? Okay. Yemi, how can I buy my first property? Okay. Yemi Ginger, how can I buy my first property? Let's say a multifamily house. I like it. As a corporation. So Yemi, are you in Canada? You're using the word corporation. It must be Canada. Because if you're in the US, you'd be using LLC. So let's pretend you're in Canada here for this example. How can I buy my first property? Let's say a multifamily house as a corporation, and then rent a unit for myself and rent the other units out to others. Okay, this is what we call house hacking. I did not come up with this term. This is house hacking. So I love what Yemi's saying. Buy a multifamily residence. Yemi wants to live in one unit and then rent out all the others. So what ends up happening here is, hopefully if done correctly, Yemi, you are trying to live as close to free, or if not making profit every month, that's even better. But the whole goal of house hacking is for your bills to be as close to zero as possible, as your other units, your other tenants are paying your living expenses. That's why, like life hack, this is house hack, you're house hacking. So this is a beautiful situation. You can definitely do this. You can definitely do creative financing on this as well. Yemi, yes, Ken. Okay, cool. What was I going to say? What I would consider there's difference. I'm not a mortgage broker, but just make sure that depending on how many units you're looking, because everyone thinks, I'm owner occupying, it's 5%, right? Or in the US, I'm owner occupying, it's 3.5%. There are some stipulations. Duplex, that's, and again, I'm not a mortgage broker guy, so don't take this as financing advice, please, or legal or accounting. I'm none of those things. Okay. Depending on the amount of units and the purchase price is going to depend on how much down payment you need. So if it's a triplex or over, it might change, maybe 10%. If it's over $1 million, then I know it changes again. So just, again, talk to mortgage brokers, Yemi, investor-focused people, or try and find a creative financing deal. Try and find a seller financing deal. In my opinion, the seller financing deals that I have done where I've owner occupied, so I've not lived in them, but like when Mel and I put our office in it, the seller financing, the sellers that are holding financing like it even more, because they're like, hey, you're actually going to, in your situation, live here, or Melody, hey, you're actually going to put your office or your gym or your storage here. They like it because now they're like, you're vested in it, you're owner occupied in this, right? So you have a stake in it. So in my opinion, they like it more. In my experience, they like it more. Rob, hey, I would like to ask if maybe in need of virtual assistant. I have EXP in Arizona real estate. Rob, I'm trying to think what you're offering. Are you part of EXP? Because that's the brokerage that I'm part of. Or are you saying, Dave, do I need a virtual assistant in Arizona to help with the real estate? If you can clarify, please. We have an amazing team of virtual assistants all throughout the world. We could not do it without them. I absolutely love our team. We have team members in Brazil, Portugal, Mexico. I'm missing some places here. Canada, US. Oh, South Africa, Austria. I feel like I'm still missing some. Doesn't matter. You guys get the point. That's the beauty about being virtual. Okay, there it is, Rob. Nope, I'm only simply doing admin tasks for the realtor because I like to be part of your team. Maybe, Rob, send us a DM. You're over on TikTok. Send us a DM, and maybe we can have a chat further. And that goes to everyone else. If anyone else is looking at joining the Action Family, Rob's a little different. Rob wants to help me on that side. But if anyone is looking at joining Mel and I's mentorship program, Action Family, just send us the word. Oh gosh, where is it? Send us the, what did I say? Action. Yeah, as simple as that. Send us the word action, and we will definitely tell you next steps to join the Action Family. If you guys want access to our agreement for sale deals, where you can get into it as low as like $20, $30, $40, $50,000 without qualifying, DM us the word deals, and we will send you some information. Okay. So let's talk more about Rachel and T and their deal, the 28 units in 2 years. Another way of doing so is promissory notes. Now, let me preface promissory notes. Two things. Definitely have either a lawyer, an attorney, a notary, whatever legal representation that you need, do this for you, because there's a lot of dotting the I's, crossing the T's with this, right? Depending on the province or the state, this could be considered a security. So definitely do not do this on your own. Talk to the professionals about raising funds like this. Talk to the lawyers, talk to the attorneys or the notaries, whoever your legal representation is in whatever province or state you're in. Okay. And do not take this as legal advice or financing advice. And what I'm saying is that when people, and you know what, this could go for any types of funds, whenever you are borrowing money, and this is why Mel and I are so adamant about it, and it sounds cheesy, but exit before you enter, right? You have to exit the deal before you enter. And this is something that Mel and I pride ourselves on, is we have always paid people back, okay? And two things. A, you need to pay people back. Like that is just a non-negotiable, right? You're borrowing someone's equity in their asset, right? As seller financing. Well, they've worked hard on that deal. Like the onus is on you to pay them back. Not paying them back is not an option. Mel and I have always had the mindset of, if ever things came and push comes to shove, and for whatever reason, let's say a deal had gone sideways, which would be very hard because, again, we're very adamant when we underwrite deals and stress test them. And we make sure that we have multiple exit strategies before we do this. But if ever something was to catastrophically happen, Mel and I are of the mentality, and we actually have this in our book. I'll talk about books after, but Mel and I have this in our book. Mel and I would literally sell our house before we would ever not pay someone back. That's because we can always buy another house, right? And I know we love this house and the kids have memories, but we can always buy another house. I would sell it. I would pay back the private lender at all costs. Because in the real estate world, just like life, but especially in the real estate world, it is very, very small. You only have one reputation. Okay. And that's the mentality we go into every deal that we do. And since I don't want to sell my house, I make sure that I really, really go through things and really have a plan and an exit strategy. So do not touch anyone's money if you cannot pay it back. Okay. I cannot stress that enough. But yeah, Rachel and T, tomorrow we're going to be releasing that. Is everyone here following us? And if you're on YouTube, you're like, well, no, even if you're on YouTube, it doesn't mean that you're following us. Is everyone here following us on YouTube? Because we will be releasing this video tomorrow. 28 units in 2 years. It's pretty cool. They're at Vancouver, British Columbia. If you're not following us on YouTube, It's at Investor Mel Dave. Here, I'll give you a sec. Go check it out. Our YouTube page is blowing up. We've got about 65,000. Thanks for all the hearts over there on TikTok. Appreciate that. But yeah, go check us out. And if you're following us on any other, like TikTok, are you following us on Instagram? Right? It's always the same handle, guys, at Investor Mel Dave. If you're following us on IG, how come you're not on TikTok and YouTube yet? Because we do post different things. It's different feels on different platforms. But yeah, and for people that are tuning in today, we're talking about creative financing other people's money. If anyone has any questions, put them in the chat, right? Do not be shy. This is meant to be some Q&A as well. We're talking about creative financing. Which deal do I want to talk about? The 10 unit that we bought in Costa Rica. So does everyone here know where Tamarindo is? Tamarindo, Costa Rica, look it up on a map. It is on the west coast, and I am just south. I have places all over the place in Costa Rica, but this one is actually just south of Tamarindo. Seller financing deal, okay? He's holding it for 5 years. I think is it 5.5 or 6.5% interest only, holding it for 5 years. All we had to do is come up with $48,000. This is short-term rentals, right? It's already started to rent out, but this is the possibility is you can do this from anywhere. Like my laptop and this phone that I'm talking to you on, I'm coming to you live from North Bay, Ontario, Canada. Mel and I have purchased in Ohio, never been to Ohio. We've now done a couple of deals in Ohio, right? We've purchased in Texas, never been to Texas. When we purchased in Costa Rica, we had never been to Costa Rica. We've since been then because we would like to vacation there, right? Got to check our places. But that's the beauty. You can do this anywhere. You do not have to just do it in your backyard. So if you're in a city or a market where you're like, Dave, it is absolutely bonkers here. It is so expensive. Nothing cash flows. I can't come up with the down payment. I hear this every day. So I'm like, okay, perfect. Live there. If you love that area, live where you want to live. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, people that are in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, Miami, San Diego, like I have these conversations over and over. Like, I love where I live. I'm like, then don't move. You don't have to move. Just invest where returns are best. It's very, very simple, guys. And I know, well, you're probably like, Dave, it's simple for you because you know how to do it. But this is what we teach people. And if this is something you want to learn, DM us the word action and we can have a conversation, okay? But literally, so this deal negotiated from the computer that I'm talking to you on in Costa Rica, seller financing. What was I going to say? It has an exit strategy. Again, the whole point of this is, like I was mentioning earlier, is we did the deal. So we have a mortgage on it and we borrowed some funds. We did the deal because we knew there was going to be a lift on it, meaning we're going to increase the income. Like the guy that owned it before did a great job. He had a website. He would rent it, not as much as what we could rent it and for how much we can rent it for, because he didn't want to put the work into it. He had it for 20, 30 years and he was done, which is fine. He sold it to us for a lot more money than he bought it for. Like, that's what I love about real estate. Like, he got his, good for him. And now we own the asset. We're going to rent it out. We've already done the renovations. We're going to make it better. We're actually putting like a cafe in it with a liquor license and barista bar. No, that doesn't make sense. Am I making up words here? Barista bar? Oh gosh, I don't even know anymore what I'm saying. But a cafe with a restaurant. And there's also, so there's going to be like a coffee bar. This is called coffee bar, restaurant, a liquor license. And that's also going to help increase the value as well. There's a pool. So we've made the pool area nicer because people go to Costa Rica for what? The sun, the ocean, the beach, the pools, right? So we've done that. So we're going to increase the value and we're going to have a way of paying it back. And this is something in real estate. Like, just think about every piece of real estate. Not everyone makes money on it. Some people buy bad pieces of real estate and then lose money, okay? But there's nothing wrong with people making money. And what I mean about this is, like, I'm just thinking, one of the buildings that we bought in 2020, we bought it for $2.2 million. I know, because I had the real estate agent look it up, I know he had bought in that, was it 5, 8, or 10. I forget exactly how many years before. I know it doesn't matter. I know he bought that building for $1 million. Okay. And 10 years down the road, I'm buying it. I say Mel and I are buying it for $2.2 million. Am I mad at him because he is making, I know obviously there's costs and I'm just talking general. Am I upset with him that he's making $1.2 million? No, because good for him. He held on to real estate, right? Time in the market. So he held on to a piece of real estate that appreciated in time. He did some renovations and all that. And I bought it for $1.2 million more. Fast forward 5 years down the road, that building is now worth $3.2 million, $1 million more, because we've put a lot more work in it and we've increased the rents a lot. So if I was to sell that building tomorrow and make that money, can someone else be mad? Like, you see what I'm saying with real estate here is, as you go along in time, if you buy in the right areas, the right deal at the right time, you can make money, and there's nothing wrong with that. So again, this Costa Rica, this 10-unit deal, if we bought it for, was it 460? Or am I mixing up? It was 48,000 down payment. I think it was 500 or 550-ish numbers. When we go to sell that 2 years down the road or 5 years down the road, we might refinancing it. Depending Costa Rica, the financing is a little different. It'll probably be worth at least $800 to $1 million. And that's what I'm saying, guys. That's what real estate is. It's time in the market. Now, you're probably saying, Dave, that's buy and hold investing. And you might like that. You might not like that. We also do flips, right? So we're doing 2 flips right now in Cape Coral, Florida, and Port Charlotte. We're increasing the value a lot quicker, right? We're going to make money a lot quicker. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to make real estate. Maria asks, does there have to be equivalent like a house or funds for guarantee? I think I know what you're saying, Maria, but let's dive in a little bit more. So you're saying if someone is holding a mortgage for you, like, are you saying, yeah, with VTB. So if someone is holding seller financing for you, does there have to be equivalent like a house or funds for guarantee? So I see what you're saying. So let's do house A or income property A for scenario. Maria, correct me if I'm right or wrong here. So you're saying if the seller holds a mortgage on property A over here, which they are selling to you, do they also have, I don't know if you guys heard that crack, good shoulder crack. Do they also have security on a second property, like your house or another income property? Is that what you're asking, Maria? I just want to make sure if you're still on the live. Hello, Agi. Hello, Cecilia. Cecilia, I have no job. Please pray for me. Cecilia, you don't always need a job to purchase real estate. We've helped a lot of people that have been on social assistance, unemployed, that have been able to do this. So you don't necessarily just need a job. So Maria might not be here. So Maria's question was, seller financing finances property A over here that they sold you. Can they also put like let's not even attach to this. So they give you a mortgage over here. Maria's basically asking, can they also get collateral on this property here or put a second mortgage on that property there? They can. Honestly, I don't like that. Like, what I tell, if someone's holding a mortgage for me, I'm like, hey, you're holding it on property number A. Your security is on property A because you have a mortgage on it. That's how I like doing things. That does not mean, again, this is what can be negotiated in any deal, right? That does not mean that they cannot ask for it. And they might say, I'm not doing the deal with you unless I have a second piece of collateral or a second security or a personal guarantee or, an amount held in trust in case you don't pay. Like, that's the thing with creative financing. You can come up with different terms because it's not the standard, just, bank or anything like that. It's you coming up with the terms with the actual lender. Aji family. Hey, Aji. All right. Any other questions? So yeah, I'm excited to release that YouTube video tomorrow. They were saying that they actually immigrated to Canada. I think it was I'm going back and I interviewed them weeks ago, but they said that they immigrated to Canada, I think in 99 or 94. They now own yeah, since joining the Action family, I think they own like $20 million of real estate. They've bought 28 units in 2 years. They're doing developments too. Yeah, pretty cool. If any of this interests you guys, if you want to join the Action family or look at coaching and mentoring from Mel and I, definitely DM us the word action, ACTION. And if you want lists of our deals, DM us the word deals. Okay. So with that said, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Definitely check out our YouTube video tomorrow. Have an awesome rest of your week. Appreciate you guys showing up to the live. I try and go live every single week at noon Eastern time, so definitely put on your calendar. And yeah, we try and do Q&A and whatever you guys got going on. So I'll say bye to you over here.